Okay, here's construction 3. And it is when we have an angle and we want to bisect that angle. We want to cut it into 2 congruent halves. And here are the steps very quickly, and that is that you draw an arc all the way across that angle. It doesn't matter what distance it is. Again, we're just establishing a measurement, a consistent measurement. It doesn't matter what it is. So you draw this arc. And then you set your compass to more than halfway across that angle. And from point Y, you make an arc. Then with that same setting, you come from point X and you make an arc. And where those 2 arcs intersect will be halfway through that angle. So that will be the angle bisector. I'm going to scoop my paper up a little bit and we're going to work on these problems. Let me put a little bit of tape. Y'all are getting your stuff ready. We're working together here. All right, the first thing it asks us to do is to find half of angle R. So we've got to bisect it. So step 1 in bisecting angle is to draw an arc all the way through that angle. Okay, so let me see if I can do that. I'll draw this arc all the way through. Good. Okay, now then, the next step is to set your compass at what is clearly more than halfway across. That's close. It is more than halfway across, but just to make a point, I'm going to show that I'm going way beyond halfway across that angle. See, that wouldn't be more than halfway across that angle, would it? So that's not going to do us any good. We need to go more than halfway across, so I'm going to go with that. Let me get this point. And then I make from this point, I make an arc. Okay? Then I come over to this point, get on it, and I make an arc there. You see that? So I made an arc from this side, boom, and then I moved right to here, which is just whatever measurement this is away. Let's say that's 1/2 inch from the vertex on this side, then I'm moving 1/2 inch on the vertex on this side. So I'm not saying that's 1/2 inch, it's just a consistent measurement. And I make that little arc there, boom. Now then, where those 2 arcs intersect, that and the vertex, when we draw that in, we have bisected this angle. So we would label this as 1/2 of R. Okay? Good. And we would know that that angle is congruent to that angle. Great. I'm sure you can do the same thing with S. Let's look maybe at one of these that's a tiny bit harder. Let's look at this 13. Holy smokes, they got a lot of things going on in that. They want us to draw the angle with this measure. It's 180 degrees minus half of R plus S. Well, I think the first thing for me to do is establish 180 degrees. And you probably will agree with me that that represents 180 degrees. Now then, we need to copy in an angle that is R plus S degrees. So first thing to do is put a little point here. That's going to be the vertex of our angle. Now I need to copy in angle R and I need to copy in angle S. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to find a point to set up my measurement from the vertex. So you know what, I'm just going to go with whatever I've got. Well, no, I think I'll go with this one just so I won't confuse myself. I'm going to back up and I'm going to get that. Okay, that's going to be the measurement I'm going to use from the vertex. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to copy that angle in here. I mean, not that angle, I'm going to copy that measurement from the vertex. Then what you do is you come over here and you say, well, how far away is one side from the other side at that distance? So see, that's how far they are apart. So then I come to this point and I'll make that arc. There it is. So if I was just looking for angle R, I would then copy that in. That would be angle R. But in fact, what I need is R plus S, because then I've got to bisect it. Okay, so now I have to add this angle into there. So I'm going to come back. I need to get this distance on this angle. So I'm going to come back over here. Let me see where I drew that. That was about right. Let me get it right. That looks good. About right there. So I'm going to draw that distance from the vertex here. Okay. Then I come over here and I say, well, how far is that? All right. That looks pretty good. Now then, I've got to add that to, this would represent angle R. If I drew that line, you know what, let me just very lightly draw that line in so that you can see kind of what we're talking about. So I'm just going to very lightly say that would be angle R. Now we want to add to that angle S, and we know that angle S is that far open. So I'm going to come from here. Ooh, I just barely made my arc long enough, but I did. Ooh, there. Okay, so now then, I'm going to very lightly draw this in. And this would represent angle S. So what I know is that R plus S, that's what we're looking for there, that this all the way to there represents R plus S. Now then, so that is angle R plus S. They want half of that, so we've got to bisect that. So how do we bisect that? Well, we draw an arc. We can still use that arc, that's fine. Draw an arc just so that we have a set measurement from out on this ray. How far are we going to measure out on this ray, and how far are we going to measure out on this ray? Is that distance. Because you see, if you measured once, if you're not consistent, like if you measured how far it was and you went all the way out here and you measured, it would be that far away. But if you then measured from here, it's just that far away. So it's real important that you measure the same distance from the vertex when you do this. So that is our distance. We've got that distance established. Now I want to set this compass for more than halfway across this angle. And obviously that's more than halfway across this angle, but I'm going to go with that. I'm going to say, okay, there's part of my arc. Up here is part of my arc. And I'm going to come from this side. And I'm going to go, there we go. All right. So can you see this point right there? Because what I did, again, is I came right here from this point and I did a little arc there, okay? Then I came over here from this point, from this side, and I did an arc there. And where they intersect, if you draw that line to the vertex, you've bisected that angle. Okay, so now then, what we know is that that is half of R plus S. This represents half of R plus S, and this represents half of R plus S. So the angle we are actually wanting to note is the angle that represents 180 degrees minus half of R plus S. So if this is 180 degrees and we subtract it out, this is half of R plus S and this is half of R plus S. Can you see that 180 degrees minus half of R plus S would leave this much? Okay? So, this, children, is in fact the angle that represents that. Okay? So this angle is 1/2. This is 180 minus 1/2 of R plus S. This angle. All right? Okay.